basis. So today the three new live teachings are like this. So listen very carefully, and those who are making notes, please make a note of it. Okay. The first one is, I will be patient with you in your weakness and encourage you in your strength. Please listen to this. It is very profound. Each and every live teaching what I am giving is very profound. I will be patient. Those who are writing, you can write it down. I will be patient with you in your weaknesses and encourage you in your strengths. Usually, if you notice, let's say in a couple, I'm just giving an example. Let's say the husband or the wife, either one is a smoker. He or she smokes. Now, the other spouse who does not smoke, he or she should not keep on banging him and bringing him down, Why are you smoking, it will spoil your health and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, spoiling health is okay, but don't shout at him. You've got to be patient. Please understand, any kind of addiction, whether it is smoking, drugs, alcohol, or any kind of addiction, simply willpower is not enough. I am telling you, I have been dealing with drug addicts and alcoholics for the last 15 years. Don't give me that thing about willpower. Willpower is not enough. Willpower is not enough. They need a lot of understanding. You need a lot of patience with them. And you need to pray for them. You need to pray for them. And God in His time, as a result of your prayers and your patience, He will touch them and take them out of that addiction. This is just an example of addiction. Any other issue, whether it's your friend or your spouse or your child, any relationship, or your brother or your sister, if someone has a weakness, whether anger is his problem, or addiction is his problem, or laziness is his problem, or not taking life seriously is a problem, whatever the problem is, you have to be patient with them. I'll be patient in your weakness, and I will encourage you in your strengths. So on the one side, you're being very patient with them in their weakness. On the other side, if that same spouse or friend or brother or sister has some good qualities, please keep on encouraging them. That, wow, you're such a good husband, such a good wife in so-and-so area, or you're telling your son or daughter that you're so good with time management. Whatever their strengths are, you got to encourage them. Please understand. I wanted to understand one thing. You cannot change anyone. Yes, you can advise, but you can't change that person. He or she will change only in God's time. What is your duty? You got to be patient. You got to pray for him or her and understand that weakness. So, please understand, I'll be patient with you in your weakness and I'll encourage you in your strengths. Very important principle. One of the reasons many students, or most of the students, they get very close to me and they keep on sharing their issues with me is because I'm very patient in their weakness. I never judge. About judging, not judging, I'll speak in another video on that point. That's another life skill. So I will not get into that right now. But for now, let's stick to this. You cannot change anyone. Whether it's your friend or your spouse or your son, daughter, whoever, or your friend also. If you want to see change in him, number one, you got to be patient. Number two, you pray for him. And number three, he will change in God's timing, not your time. Not your timing. Pray. Spend time in prayer. Okay? So remember this, that I will be patient with you in your weaknesses and encourage you in your strengths. I'm not saying that you cannot correct that person. You can correct. For example, once in a while, you can tell him, if it's about smoking, that smoking is not good for health. Smoking will cause lung cancer or other kind of disease. And you can guide. That is okay. But don't sit on his head or her head and keep on banging this thing about give up smoking. It's not good. Don't do that. You got to be patient in his weakness. Patient. Be patient in his weakness, and encourage him in his strengths. Appreciate his good qualities, his or her good qualities, time and again, time and again. And also remember, when you're being patient and you're not reacting to his weakness, you're being patient and you're appreciating his or her good qualities, and you're also praying, one day he will change. When he sees you're not shouting and all that, and he knows that this person cares for me, one day he will change. One day that weakness will become a strength, his strength or her strength. But in God's time, not your time. And that needs a lot of prayers also. So remember all these things. Now the second point, the second life teaching point. For every good advice to be effective, please understand this. For every good advice to be effective, it has to be timed correctly. It has to be timed correctly. When a person shares with me a whole lot of stuff, whether on the phone call or face to face or whatever, in my first meeting, I actually might not say anything, or probably may say one point. Because the other things I will speak when the time is right, for that advice to be effective. I hope you're getting it. I hope you're getting it. For every good advice to be effective, it has to be timed correctly. Otherwise, it will go waste. You have to wait for the right time and then advise him or her for whatever, and probably he or she will listen to that advice. Let's take an example. Okay, let's say your son or daughter, now I'm talking to parents, okay? Let's say your son or daughter has failed in a subject, got very low marks. Now, he or she gets the marks card or the report card and comes home, and he or she tells you that, Ma, I failed in this subject or whatever. Now, at that time, if you start advising, okay, tell me, what was the style of, what was your study style, how you were studying? I think, you should study in this fashion. You are advising at the wrong time. Because that time, your son or daughter is very low on confidence, maybe depressed. That time, he needs you to pat him or her on the back and empathize with him or her and say, it's okay, don't worry, relax. Don't worry, I'm there now to understand you. Chalo, go eat something. Understand his pain at that time. Understand his that feeling low at that time. Because he's sad, he's depressed. You got to understand, you got to empathize. Probably you should hug him and make him feel relaxed. And then probably, and not on the same day, probably after 1 or 2 days or 2-3 days, you can sit with him or her and discuss what happened actually, what was the reason he failed. Was it too much of social media? Was it too much of friend circle? Try to make him, you don't introspect, make him introspect. And once he introspects himself, and he figures out what was the reason he failed or she failed, then you guide him or her correctly, whether it is the study style, whether it is whatever, then you guide him correctly. So you are advising him at the you are advising him at the right time. Are you getting the point? Initially, because he is sad, because he is failed, you are empathizing, you are understanding, and you are giving him time, him or her time to cool down, to calm down. It's okay, like, it's okay kind of thing. And then after 1 or 2 days or 2-3 days, when he's okay now, he's come out of that sadness, that is the time you can sit, make him introspect or ask him to introspect, and then you guide him, then you advise him. That time when you advise him, that advice you are giving him at the right time. So remember, for every good advice to be effective, it has to be timed correctly. And the last point for today, this is the last point. Do not send a mail or a text to someone when you are angry. One of my very dear friends, long time back, I'm talking about 15-20 years back. That time, he had told me, plus when I was attending Pastor Vasudevan's session, he also said the same thing. That, Amit, when you're angry on someone or whatever, do not mail him at that time, do not text him at that time. First you calm down, chill, relax. Because please understand, suppose your friend or mother, father, or son, daughter, or whoever, brother, sister did something and something wrong, and you're really angry at that person. Now at that time, if you text him, SMS him on WhatsApp, or you mail him, there is all the more chances that the text, the content of the text or the content of the mail will be very harsh. And once you send the text or the mail, it may actually hurt that person. Please understand this. We say in bow and arrow, no, that once the arrow comes out of the bow, you can't do anything. It's gone now. You can't take it back. Similarly, when the words come out of our mouth, once it's gone out, it's gone out. It won't come back. So we have to be very careful with the kind of words we speak to ourselves and others. The words which should come out of our mouth should be always words of blessing, words of encouragement, words of, all the good stuff. To ourselves also, when you're talking to ourselves also, and when you're talking to others. So, this is the third and final point, that when you are angry at someone for something, at that moment, do not send a mail or a text. First you calm down. Understand why that person did whatever he or she did. Try to understand. Cool down, calm down. Probably I would say that day don't send a mail or the text at all. Just relax. You first relax. And then once you are calmed down and you got the right thing as to what actually happened and all that, then in a nice way text or mail him with nice encouraging words or understanding words, no harsh words. Because remember, we are all human beings, we make mistakes. And we have to understand that the other person also probably made a mistake, whether it is intentional or unintentional, it was a mistake. And you have to learn to understand and help him not to make the same mistake again and all that, encourage him and whatever. So, remember these things. Suppose the incident happened in the morning and you are very angry, do not send that SMS or mail to him or her, probably the whole day. By night, if you are cooled down and you're okay, then maybe at that time you can send him a nice SMS. But let's say your anger is still, you're still angry, the whole day you're angry, then don't send him the SMS that whole day, SMS or mail, send him the next day. But actually, it is so this thing, I always pray before I start video and I always ask God before I start talking that God, every word coming out of my mouth, it should come from your throne of grace. You have to speak through me. So see, I was talking on this point. the next what I'm going to speak, it was not in my original plan of talking, it was not there, but suddenly I felt in my heart to speak on this, and I strongly believe the Lord has put in my heart to speak this. You know, in the Bible it says, uh, when you're angry at someone, do not stay angry after the sun goes down. Please understand. It's very profound. If you're angry at someone, suppose some incident happened in the morning or afternoon, you're angry at that person, do not stay angry after sundown on the same day. Because if you stay angry, you keep on that anger in your heart the whole day, whole evening, whole night, then probably you may do something very wrong. Are you getting the point? So, when I say do something very wrong, means do something very wrong towards him. Probably, suppose, let's say you're carrying that anger whole day, even evening you're carrying that anger. By 8 or 9, your own BP has gone up. You're so this thing, angry at him, and you just kind of phone him or you SMS him and you blast him. And what happened? He or she got really hurt. In the spiritual realm, this is spiritual, okay? When the Bible says don't stay angry after sundown, it means if you stay here, the question is not okay. Let me put it like this. When the Bible is saying don't stay angry till after sundown, it means try to forgive him or her by evening at least. Forgive and calm yourself. Because if you stay angry even after sundown, whole evening and night, then Satan, the devil, will tempt you to do something wrong. When I say do something wrong means you may get so flared up by night that you may actually call him or her or SMS him or her and blast him or her in very harsh words, and he or she may get hurt. So, that is why the Bible says that don't stay angry. Suppose you got angry in the morning or afternoon, don't stay angry even after sundown. Means by evening, by sunset, forgive him or her. Calm yourself down. And of course, as I said earlier, don't send him any SMS or mail on that day. But yeah, if you're really calm by nightfall, by night, if you're really calm on the same day, by night if you're calm, very calm and you've forgiven him and all that, then okay, you can SMS or call him and say nice words. But even after forgiving him by evening, by night, you are like 80% calm, but still 20% that anger is there, then don't SMS or call him on that day. Calm yourself completely, go to sleep. Then next day you can call him or her and send him a note, whether it's SMS or mail, and or you can talk on the phone also and speak nice words, encouraging words. Okay, always remember, we are supposed to build people up, not discourage them. Remember, we are human beings, we can make mistakes, so learn to build people up. Okay, well, so these are the 3 points of today. The first life teaching point is what I gave you is I will be patient with you in your weaknesses and encourage you in your strength. Okay, I will be patient with you in your weaknesses and encourage you in your strengths. And the second life teaching point is for every good advice to be effective, it has to be timed correctly. Okay, for every good advice to be effective, it has to be timed correctly. And the last life teaching point of today was that do not send a mail or a text to someone when you are really angry at him or her. Okay, so that's about